The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time to plant it is right now. The worst time to plant it is tomorrow. Because if you say tomorrow, there's always going to be another tomorrow. If you say tomorrow, you're conditioning yourself to get in the habit of doing things tomorrow. And when tomorrow comes, you says, geez, I wish I planted it yesterday. Because if you planted it 20 years ago, hey, you would be a full tree. But if you keep saying it's tomorrow, tomorrow never seems to come. And it's interesting around this time of year, December, coming into Christmas and the new year, that people start to put things off until next year or after Christmas. And what I have learned in my life is the things you put off never seem to take off. And as soon as you start to use the vocabulary of I'm going to do it next Monday or next year or next week or tomorrow, then what you're doing is you're conditioning your mindset to put things off. And that will, over time, those habits will determine your character, and your character will determine your destiny. And you get to a destiny that is nothing, and you say, oh geez, I wish I did that back then. I regret that I didn't do that back then. Because the only things in your life that you seem to regret are the things that you didn't do. So become an action hero and take action on a thought immediately, because the bigger the gap, the time gap between the thought and the action, the less likely there's going to be action. And it's quite amazing how people use this time of year, or winter, or Easter, or Christmas, or the New Year as an excuse. And they call it a reason, but it really is an excuse, because every day is pretty much the same. You are in the present. So if you do it today, what you do is you save time. Tomorrow it's the same, it's a time-saving device when you start to get into becoming an action hero by taking immediate action on your thoughts. Yeah, it's amazing. I have a martial arts club, and someone asked me, are you going to be doing classes too over the Christmas break? And I said, well, of course, of course. My answer was, well, do you used to clean your teeth over the Christmas break? And I said, yeah, then why wouldn't you train your body over the Christmas break? Why would you let something slide because a big fat man in a red suit? So if you don't want to get fat, don't do what the big fat man seems to do. He only seems to take action once a year, and then he probably goes into hibernation in the North Pole, eating Christmas cake. I don't know. It's a great story. However, don't follow the path of the average, because what champions do, they do what the average are not prepared to do. Therefore, champions end up having what average people will never ever have. They will always take action. They'll take immediate action no matter what day it is. Now behind me, I have this amazing masterpiece here of Tiger Woods, which is really just an example of what champions do. Now this is when he won the Grand Slam. He won all the 4 majors in a year. There's all of the balls and signed, and there's his trophies. And I always remember hearing a story, because he used to live in Florida. I'm sure if he still does now. But he lives in Florida, and one of the residents of a luxury enclosed society, where the houses are all guarded and they're on the golf courses, and it's a beautiful type estate. And it was Christmas morning, and he was having his morning coffee, and he could hear this noise, thud, thud. And he kept hearing this noise, and he said, what is that noise? So he walked down his backyard, and he looked over the fence into the golf course, and there was Tiger Woods in the bunker, the sand bunker, practicing hitting balls out of the sand bunker on Christmas morning. So isn't that amazing? There's an indication of why he is one of the greatest golfers of all time, because when everyone else is using Christmas morning to relax and do nothing, he's out there on the golf course practicing his craft, practicing his expertise, so he can become a champion. And just because it's Christmas doesn't mean you don't practice the things that are important to you, whether that be training your body to be fit, healthy and strong, or doing things that are important to you that's going to set you up for the future. Because people will tend to put things off, and they'll look for reasons to put things off. And what's amazing now is people are putting things off for the next 4 weeks, and they probably January will start, and then they won't get start into February because that's the Christmas break or the holiday break or the holiday season. And that's fine. Yes, you need a holiday, but make sure that you keep doing the important things that are important to you, because you have a decision of what you're going to use your time with, and every moment of time you have to make a decision, and you have to make a decision as what is important to you now versus what is most important to you, which we seem to be in the future. What is important to you now versus what is most important to you in the future. And what now might be is sleeping in and having a big breakfast and not training, but what's most important to you in the future is to being in shape, being fit, healthy and strong, which means maybe you should get up and have a workout first. At least have the workout before you go to breakfast. Don't skip the workout before you have breakfast. You have to deserve the things that you want in life, so you have to become more deserving. You don't get what you dream for, you don't get what you wish for, you don't even get what you want, because people around the world, they all want things, but they're not getting them, and you don't even get what you need in life. What you get is not what you wish for, not what you dream for, not what you want, not what you need, but you get what you deserve. And the things that you deserve are many times founded on lots of little habits done day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, year in, year out, that over time build a solid foundation of deservedness, if there's such a word, that will take you to the peak to achieve the things that you want to achieve, whether that be a sporting achievement, becoming a champion in your sport, whether it be an academic achievement by getting a degree or a qualification or certification, whether it be a relationship achievement where you're fulfilling a long-term marriage or relationship. There are the little things. You don't just loaf off at Christmas Day because it's holiday season, therefore I'm going to have a holiday from being nice to you and doing the things. Whether it be a health and fitness goal of getting into great shape, feeling healthy, fit and strong, and being well. Depending on what's important to you, all those things that you want to achieve, you have to deserve, and that comes with labour. Labour basically stands for LA. It means it's work. Your labour is basically hard work, and you don't get things that are deserving through luck, which is labour under continual knowledge. So be very careful in this time of year that there's lots of big excuses or some people call big reasons in the fat man in the suit, whether it be Easter, whatever it might be, to let things slide. And the more you let things slide, the harder it's going to be to get back up onto that mountain of success or back on track. The more you're off track, the harder it is to get back on track. So the question here is just don't, are you going to get off track? Just don't get off track. I always make sure, being a sports person, I always train when people, I know they're not training. I know they're not training. It might be Christmas Day. I'm going to have a training session. I'm going to go and have a training session first, then enjoy my Christmas Day. I'm going to have a training session day first, then enjoy my New Year's Eve. And I'll have a training session first, then enjoy my New Year's Day. When I'm on holidays, I have a training session first, and then I go out there and enjoy the day or the sights or whatever it might be, or my holiday. So make sure you do those things, including obviously brushing your teeth. It might be your training exercise session. It might be your learning session or academic session. It might be practicing your sports skill session. It might be connecting with your kids or your family to make sure that you're looking after those important things in your life. So all those important things, think of the important, long-term important things, and make sure you work on each one of them. It doesn't have to be a lot, but it has to be doesn't have to do a lot in a short period of time. It just be a little in a long period of time, and that will keep you on track and to keep the progress or keep the momentum. And before you know it, you haven't lost. You won't be blaming, Christmas, I put on 5 kilos over Christmas. It's funny, I do a lot of, I haven't for quite some time, but Rory and I, we do a lot of cruise ships trips around the world. And that's one of the things we do. We like cruising. You go, you pack once and unpack once, basically, and then you wake up every morning in a different country or city, which is really cool. But it's amazing that when people go into a cruise ship, they already take into account they're going to put on weight, because if you've been on a cruise ship, it's full of buffets and foods and restaurants and drink and all the goodies. And I was talking to one of the people on the cruise ship, one of the staff, and they said, yeah, the average amount of weight that someone puts on a cruise ship is around about 5 kilograms. It's just like, oh my gosh, isn't that amazing? Now, the challenge with that is that you got in the habit to put the 5 kilograms on. Now you have to change your habit to get the 5 kilos off, which can be a bit of a U-turn and harder to change that direction. But when Roy and I go on the cruise ships, I love to eat like as good as anybody. But because I know I'm going to probably be eating a bit more and enjoying it a bit more, then I make sure I do 2 training sessions. I do a training session in the morning and I do a training session in the afternoon. And the time-wise is no different than what most people spend wasting time, procrastinating on things, or going on social media, or looking at themselves in the mirror, what it might be, or whatever it might be. If you look at the time, it's still only a small investment of time, so you can enjoy all the rest of the time and still achieve that you want to achieve and maintain what you got and build what you want. So make sure that you don't let the merry season, the fat man in the red suit, as an excuse for you to lose your way, whatever that might be, whether it be academically or relationship or financial or sporting or health and wellness, whatever it might be. Make sure you keep them in check. Keep investing in yourself every single day. Reward yourself in a good way. I remember one of my colleagues who's a world kickboxing champion says a lot of times people will reward themselves by having a cake or whatever. Why don't you reward yourself for doing something good? Reward yourself with a walk, or reward yourself with a bike ride, or reward yourself by taking your kids down the park and kicking a football. Reward yourself with an apple or a piece of fruit. Reward yourself in a positive way, rather than so I'm going to do a little bit of good so I can reward myself with something which I consider maybe not so good, or maybe something which is taking me off track. I've been on track for a while, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to reward myself by going off track. Isn't that crazy? I've been really training well, eating well, and therefore I'm going to reward myself with something which is really taking me the opposite direction. You know, it's funny that I think Rory did a great session on this just recently, what they call having a cheat day. And I find that very odd, a cheat day. So I'm going to spend 6 days doing all the things that make me successful, and then on my 7th day I'm going to do all the things that contradict everything I do. And that's a contradiction in values, that's a contradiction in habits, it's a contradiction in your beliefs, it's a complete contradiction. It's like, hey, I'm going to have a great relationship with my partner, and I'm going to be faithful for 6 days, but on the 7th day I'm going to be unfaithful. Yeah, that's my cheat day. I'm going to be really, really healthy. I'm not going to smoke for 6 days, but on the 7th day I'm going to just smoke the town down. They're going to be calling fire engine in because I'm smoking so much. But you know, that keeps me sane. No, that's going to drive you crazy, because it's complete contradiction in values. So make sure you know what goals you want to achieve and live according to your values, and don't look for the little shortcuts, don't look for the cheat days, don't look for the reasons to procrastinate, to put off until tomorrow, because tomorrow never comes. You've only got this moment in time, this second in time, and this time will be gone. And what you invest in today will determine what you have in the future. You don't wait till the future to change your future. You change your future by acting immediately. And that's not even, I'm going to do it tomorrow. No, if it's in the mind, get it out of your mind, get it into action and get it done. And that way you frees up your mind to think of the next progression, the next step, or better things. So if you do that, you're going to fly through Christmas with a head start on everybody else, because a lot of time people will go through Christmas and they won't even sort of get going again until February, and you'll be so far ahead. I've got a World Cup and a World Championship in martial arts next year, and it's now December, so it's really important that I'm really starting to up my training in December, where most people say, I'll wait to January, but I want to hit January, I want to hit 2023, I want to hit the road running. I don't want to be hit the road in bed, and then by the time I get up and going and moving and shaking, it's already February, because I do know that time between now and the World Cup, which is in South Korea in around about 7 months, that is going to fly really quickly. And I don't want to get to that time and think, geez, I wish I started earlier, or geez, I didn't really work on that skill as well as I should have, or geez, I wish I had another month, geez, I wish I had another week to get ready for this. Well, you probably look back and you probably wasted a week at the start, because the first week is no less important than the last week. The first week of your change of life, or your course, your academic course, of your health journey, of your sporting journey, the first week is no less important than the last week. And it's because it's so far away, people don't think that the next week is that important, because hey, I've got plenty of time. No, you just got time. And whether you invest that time today or invest that time in 6 weeks' time, it's still going to have the same effect. But if you don't invest it today, in 6 weeks' time, you're going to be a day behind. If you wait till next week, in 6 weeks' time, you're going to be a week behind. If you leave it for a month, you're going to be a month behind. So don't get behind by wasting today, because if you waste today, it's going to have an effect on the future. Hope that's been helpful to get you through the excuse-itis months of the year, and that way you're going to hit the ground running. You're going to be so far ahead of the pack in the upcoming year. You're going to be enjoying the fruits of your discipline. And discipline is doing what you should do when you should do it, most importantly, even when you don't feel like doing it. Discipline is doing what is most important to you, not what is important to you today, but most important to you in the future. See you in the next Kmax.